You know, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, New Year. A lot of times we use. I don't know if you do your New Year's resolutions or that type of thing. New Year's resolutions usually look at it as a statement. You know, one statement: I'm going to do this. I'm going to lose 100 pounds or whatever it might be. You know, and usually by January 15th. It's done. I mean, we forgot our statement, you know, our New Year's resolution. But one of the things that we do, I'm going to grab this, that we do on our retreats is make vision boards, and a lot of you know what vision boards are, or the other name for them is a collage, you know. And so this is one that I did today for New Year's Day. And I'll talk about this a little bit. This stuff, I'm just going to be talking after we're done meditating about this, what is called Ikigai. It's a Japanese word, and I'll explain it all later on. But basically, it's sort of on the premise, like if we would ask a question, what if we knew that we could not fail? If we absolutely knew that we could not fail, what would we do? You know, it's a very interesting question. So it actually what we're asking ourselves to do is eliminate any fear of failure, you know? And we're assuming that we might fail at this thing that we want to do. It's only an assumption. And so we're kind of creating our own misery, you know, in a way. You know, if we want to do something, it could be very, very lofty. It could be, you know, just something very simple. But what would we actually do if we knew that we couldn't fail? And some of us might be doing that right now. You know, some of us might have already done that. You know, some of us might have very little fear. Some of us might have a lot of fear. And that's only one of the negative mind states or you know, feelings that we can come up with. You know, fears based on the future, and anger is based on things that have happened in the past. You know, another negative state. But the first thing that we want to do is, from a subconscious level, is to see these things and eliminate them before we can move forward, before we can actually you know, be really fulfilled in life. And I'm talking spiritually or worldly. You know, there's two kinds of fulfillment. The non-worldly, Buddha talked about the non-worldly and the worldly. And obviously, you know, all form is world. But the non-worldly is, you know, the feelings that we have inside, you know, from a spiritual aspect. You know, the fulfillment that meditation brings us when we're meditating. And but for all of this, we have to realize what's holding us back. And so these are generally the things that we have to let go of. You know, meditation is a practice of letting go. It's not really ever looked at as a practice of gathering. You know, so it seems kind of counterproductive to something like this, you know, and we actually do a retreat where all the people, or most of the people, do a collage or a vision board like this. They don't have to, but they do. A lot of them do. But it's all under the premise of that we have to let go of these things before these other things actually materialize for us, actually before they come into our lives. And once we can spot these things and then be able to let go of them, then we can move forward, and that's the premise of, you know, tonight's meditation. So I'll talk, and then we'll talk a little bit more about this Ikigai, which is a Japanese word, and I'll explain it all. You know, some of you might know about it, but some of you may not. So we'll talk about that after the meditation and see where we're at from there. So this is all, you know, based on the new year, the new you. You know, what are we going to do with this new year? How are we going to look at it? You know, are we going to do kind kind of refresh ourselves, with this newness, I know a lot of times when we have workshops and we have courses and things like that in January, they're usually very, very full, because everybody's gung-ho about, I'm gonna make this change, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to exercise every day, and I'm going to meditate every day, and all these things. But the reason everybody's here is because we meditate every day, right? I mean, we got that practice going, right? Mm-hmm. I see a little nodding, not a lot, but yeah, great. So we'll do our meditation, then I'll talk a little bit more about Ikigai when we're done. So please make yourself comfortable. If you're fairly new to meditation, or if you're wondering about our style of meditation, I'll be guiding us through it. And so it's a Vipassana or insight meditation. And I'll be guiding us and talking about a few things that you can maybe look at and notice while we're meditating, and then there will be a longer period of silence. Just allow the eyes to close, make yourself comfortable. This is New Year's Day. There's likely other things that you could be doing rather than coming to a meditation gathering like this. So, please thank yourself for being here. The mind made up the decision to come tonight, and the body followed through. And so we're all here together. Just take a few moments and bring your attention to the body, just any aspect of the body. Maybe notice how the posture feels. Notice how it feels to notice the clothes against the skin. Maybe the temperature of the air. So when we bring our attention to the body and the attention stays there, we're very present. We're actually noticing life to a certain extent. We're noticing awareness. We're being aware of awareness. Body awareness. And so from this point, we can really use any part of the body for a meditation object or something to concentrate on. But most of us feel very comfortable using the breath because it's a little bit movable, and it works whether our attention is on it or not. And there's many, many different ways that we can use it. Inhaling and exhaling and visualizing the breath. Many different ways to use it, including feeling it. And counting it. And just noticing where the breath touches the body. Noticing the middle of the breath, or the beginning or the end of the breath. And again, as long as we're doing that, we're very present. And that's present moment awareness. That's our true nature beyond the thinking mind. body awareness, and then there's awareness of the mind as well. The Buddha talked about awareness of body, feelings, states, and the dharmas. And the feelings and the states and the dharmas are more connected with the aspect of the mind, and sometimes how the body reacts to these thoughts and feelings and emotions and that type of thing. But for the most part, we're being mindful of the mental activity. And that includes renunciation or letting go. And as stated earlier, if we have something that's holding us back, sometimes we might not even realize it. Sometimes we don't even understand our fears. We won't even look at them clearly sometimes because they're uncomfortable. And sometimes we don't understand our triggers. We don't understand what makes us angry or upset. Sometimes it's a combination of things. And sometimes we don't even notice what these combinations are. Whether it's hunger or a feeling in the body, or even a particular sound or noise. But these are things that we should identify and understand that we are hanging on to them usually for our identification. We identify with our own suffering, with our hanging on to these things. This is our attachment, our mental attachments. And just like anything else, if we're carrying around a backpack full of negativity, backpack full of fear, a backpack full of anger, just like these are rocks or stones in our backpack. Carry that around for year after year after year, and then finally let go of it. It's very liberating. It feels like we can walk easier and run easier and jump easier. It's like we feel limitless somehow, like we can do more. It heightens our ability, and we feel limitless many times by letting go of these things, these mental attachments. And the first thing we want to do is notice whether they are a part of our past or a part of our future. Are we hanging on to something that we don't need to hang on to, or that we shouldn't hang on to, that happened in the past? And many times we don't even realize it. It's completely subconscious. And many times we're hanging on to fear of the future. That's why I posed the question, what would you do if you knew that you could not fail? Where there was no fear of failure. A very interesting question that we can ask ourselves, not necessarily during our meditation, but just understanding it and being aware that there might be fears there. And so in our meditation practice, it's a time of letting go, a time of spotting and knowing these things might be there or are there, and then seeing them for what they are, notice whether we're trying to identify with them, and then letting them go. And that can be done in several different ways. One is just through the awareness alone. Just saying to ourselves, I've been hanging on to this for too long, and now it's time. I'm done with it. And having a great amount of faith that you can do this and let it go. And not be upset trying to pick it up again. Just let it float down the stream of awareness, and let it float right on by where you don't even have to see it to its end. Just know that it's not there anymore. And so we make an agreement with ourselves. And sometimes we have to stare these things to death, to absolutely know that they're there. And if they keep coming back again and again and again, we have to work with it and look at it and see it for what it is, and understand the falseness behind it. And again, realizing that we, in this case, are causing our own suffering. And we can start using the future for beneficial things, for inspiration and feeling complete with our lives. And we can start using the past as these valuable lessons that are meant to be learned, these important things that we've gone through, so that we don't have to repeat these things. Repeat the negativity. So notice any anger that might have arisen in the last several days, or even might be existing now. Notice any fear that has held you back in the past, or that might be holding you back from something now. This is the past and the future. Understand it and see it with awareness. Be gentle with yourselves. And just be prepared and be ready to let these things go, that you don't need them anymore. You don't have to identify with them. And then we can be ready to move on, spiritually and worldly. May each one of us and all beings be well, happy, and peaceful. May no harm come to us. May no difficulties come to us. And may we meet with spiritual and worldly success. And may we have the patience, the courage, and the understanding to meet and overcome any problems or any difficulties that we might face in life. Thank you. So getting back to our topic, of course, when we meditate, it's a practice of letting go, practice of renunciation. And the idea is that it's kind of like the practice that we do is called insight meditation. And insights arise not because we're trying to force them out or trying to create them, but they arise from us being present and just being open, and accepting. It's like to be like this rather than be like this, right? And so insights come up. They come up on their own, you know. So it's like we're clearing the way for the insights to show up, and that's how it works. And the insights, if you're are generally the teachings, or they're the truth for us, that kind of thing. Insights of impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, non-self, these types of things which were the I guess the more prominent Buddhist insights, you know, based on Buddhist teachings. But when we let go, whether it's spiritual or worldly, it really allows more to come in. It's like cleaning the closet. You know, if we want to buy more clothes, it's like we got to get rid of some first. You know, a lot of us anyway. We have to get rid of some, make some room, you know, for these new things to come in. If we buy a new couch, we have to get rid of the old couch. If we buy a new bed, we have to get, you know, so we have to let go of these things in order to let the new things come in. And so there's Ikigai is Japanese word. It's not Ikigai. If I was sitting up here with nothing but a pink tutu on, that would be Ikigai. But Ikigai is that's the way that you can remember that, Ikigai. Yeah, it's not Ikigai. It's Ikigai, and it's translated as purpose in life, or roughly translated as a person's purpose or meaning in life, or the thing that actually I've heard it explained like the thing that gets us out of bed in the morning. You know, the thing that gets us going. And like the dog or the cat, you know. No. Oh, it could be. Ikigai could be anything, you know, for anybody. But there's four criteria. This word actually came from Okinawa, this island south of the main island of Japan, and. Okinawa has lots of interesting history, but one of the facts that a lot of people don't know is that they hold the record for having the most century-old people. Centurions, I think is the proper term. Centurions or centurions? Centenarians. I've heard, yeah, centenarians. Anyway, people over 100 years old. And they contributed to finding their Ikigai, their purpose in life, and it includes being healthy, staying active, not retiring, eating the right foods. Their diet consists of mostly grains and vegetables, and some fish. You know, they eat a lot of. Probably more fish than we do. They don't eat a lot of red meat, that type of thing. And then they have they have their purpose in life, and they have a reason for living, and a reason for being active, and a reason for doing these things, for living over 100 years. So these four criteria is something that I was thinking of these when I put this vision board or this collage together, and you can't see this, but there's I should have made these bigger where you could actually see them. But the criteria is that what the Ikigai is an activity or something that we do, or on a daily basis. It could have something to do with our hobby or our work. But in order for it to be successful, it's said that the first criteria is it has to be something that we love to do. Makes sense, that we really have to love to do this thing. And so first, I could ask, I'm just asking you as an invitation to ask yourself, what do you really enjoy doing? What do you really love doing? And I'm sure things come up. You have something in mind. It could be something related to what you're doing at work, or something that you love doing at home. Maybe you love watching movies, or being creative on the computer, or building, or any of these things. Maybe you love working with children. Maybe you love animals. Maybe you love cats. Maybe we have to bring up cats, every time here. But maybe you love, working with animals, or horses, or anything. So what do you love to do? And the best thing to do is to write these things down. Write down maybe 5 different things that you love to do, and hold them as a category. You can kind of do it in your mind right now. Just think in terms of what you love to do. And then the next area is, what are you good at? Just because you love something doesn't mean you're necessarily good at it. And just because you're good at something doesn't necessarily mean you love to do it. But it has to fit both of these categories. You have to love to do it, and you have to be good at it. You have to be good at we washed a cat today. We washed a cat in the kitchen sink, and Terry was really good at it. I'd never, she had the cat by the throat, and kind of, but the cat was really cooperative. It needed a bath. That's another whole story, but and so what are you good at, and what do you love to do? So you could make a kind of a category of these things. So that's the first 2 criteria, the first 2 foundations for Ikigai. The third area is, well, I'm trying to think of which one I want to introduce first, but does it serve society? Does it help not only you? Does it not only make you feel good, but is it beneficial for everybody else? There could be some, maybe you are really good at watching movies at night, and you love doing it, but is society benefiting from it? Probably, maybe they are in some way, maybe not though. I mean, if you're a movie critic, maybe, it fits that criteria. But in most cases, if somebody's playing video games and they love doing it and they're really good at it, and what's it doing for society? Nothing, unless they're creating, unless they're a video game creator and they're, experimenting with them or something like that. So you get the idea, so is it benefiting other people? And the 4th criteria is that, is there some kind of reward that comes back to you in the form of worldly or unworldly, in the form of form, like money, some kind of income from what you're doing, or is it inspiration, or just a joy for doing something that fulfills your heart? It has to be something that like a return that comes back to you when you do this. If we keep putting things out there and putting things out, we'll get burned out, and it won't last. It won't work. I've seen it happen many, many times. So, do we love it? Are we good at it? Do we get is it good for society? Does it help society somehow? And is there a return for us? And as far as if it meets these 4 criteria, then you have your Ikigai. So mine, I know from doing this and working with it, I love to travel. I love to teach, and I got to see what else I got on there. Teaching, creating, and travel. So creating, what I mean by that is I create programs and put together workshops and things like that, and I feel really good about creating different things and putting things together, different gatherings, and creating this, that type of thing where it benefits people. I feel, I feel like I'm good at it, and I love doing it, and there's a return. It fulfills me in many different ways. So that's my Ikigai. And that's the formula for finding your own. Maybe just by saying this, you have it. Maybe you've always been doing your Ikigai. Maybe you're a little frustrated in some areas of life, and you realize that there is no Ikigai there. It's just not happening, because one of those elements is missing. But going back to the question that I asked earlier, I think it was right when I started talking, what would you do if you knew that you couldn't or would not fail? And that question, it has to, if it meets all these criteria, chances are that one thing that you'd like to do, there's no reason to fear doing it at all. Number one, if you enjoy doing it, you should definitely be doing it. I would go so far as to say that we shouldn't do anything unless it inspires us. And that's the real way to live, by inspiration, to be inspired by what we do in every moment. And if we're good at it, we definitely should be doing whatever that thing is. If there's some way to get a return from this thing that we might fear that we're doing it, then by all means. And also, if it serves society, it's like that's just a win-win situation. There's lots of times when people have ideas, usually like quick money-making schemes and things like that, that only really truly benefit themselves. They might start out good, but it doesn't last for very long at all, because it doesn't meet these criteria, and it doesn't benefit society. If it benefits society, people will help you. People will, here, take this and do something with it, or give me a call whenever you need help, or all these different things. If it benefits people, people will join in and they will help you out. You become limitless, in your endeavors, whatever you want to do. So, again, fear not. If there's something that you want to do. And the wonderful thing about this is that it's limitless and is in the area of age too. A person doesn't have to feel like they're got too many years on them, and they, for them to find their inspiration and find what they want to do in life, or have a career change or whatever. It's not too late. It can happen at any time. It's just like the people on Okinawa that some of those people they didn't find their Ikigai until they were in their 50s. And of course, if you live in Okinawa and you live to be 100, then you got plenty of time to work with, right? If you get online and you look up Ikigai, I think you'd be surprised at how much information there is out there on it. And there's quite a few books. I was really surprised. I bumped into it. I'm working on a project. It's actually on here. It's a project called Subconscious Intervention. And it works a little bit with meditation, but it's more about working with some of the things that we did tonight, like realizing what is holding us back, realizing what's buried deep within that subconscious that has to be identified and be made aware of, so that we can get it out of there and move forward in life, and be more creative and find how we can feel more complete, in every moment. And it has a lot to do with presence, being very, very present, while we're, knowing that this is the only moment we have, this one moment. And if there's any kind of negativity, that we're holding on to, we don't have to do that. We don't have to carry around that backpack. First, by identifying whether it's from the future or the past, and that tells us whether it's associated with fear or anger, what we had talked about already, and then identifying that and being able to be aware of it and let it go. And so working with that, I was cruising through the internet just weeks ago, and seeing what some of the other people around the world, how they look at this subject, and that's when this Ikigai came up. Very interesting word, very interesting little technique that they use. The 4 things: love it, good at it, benefits society, and get a return back from it. Very simple.